Welcome to Out of the Office Investigation into Personal Health Actualization. This time we're discussing Akkermansia bacteria role in overall personal health.
That's right, Ramsey. We're looking into a single fascinating bacterium that has the scientific community absolutely buzzing. It's called Akkermansia muciniphila, and its influence seems to stretch from the deepest parts of our gut all the way up to our brain. We're going to explore just how this one tiny organism can play such a massive role in our well-being.
It really is a journey into our own personal inner ecosystem. Today, we're asking the big question: how can Akkermansia bacteria support our mental and physical health? The connections that science is starting to uncover are truly mind-blowing. We've got a great roadmap for our investigation today. So first up, we'll properly introduce you to this microscopic gatekeeper and really get into what makes it so special. Then we'll get into its powerful connection to our metabolism. We're talking weight, blood sugar, and energy. From there, we'll look at its surprising role as a potential ally against some pretty serious diseases. And we'll definitely get into the gut-brain axis, which is a really exciting frontier in health science. And finally, and maybe most importantly, we'll talk about how you can actively support and nurture this crucial part of your inner world. It's a full-on exploration, and we'll be sure to distinguish what's established science from what's promising new research. All right, let's start at the very beginning. Puck, when we're trying to figure out the key elements for Akkermansia bacteria's role in our overall personal health, where do we even begin? What's the most incredible thing you've learned about this bug? Well, Ramsey, for me, it all comes down to its address. Location is everything, right? Unlike so many other bacteria that are just kind of passing through or floating around in the gut, Akkermansia sets up a permanent home right in the protective mucus lining of our intestines. It literally lives on the wall. This unique position makes it a true gatekeeper, directly interacting with our own cells and having a say in what gets absorbed into our body. It's an anaerobe, which just means it thrives where there's no oxygen, and its entire life revolves around eating mucin, the very goo that our body produces to protect our gut. This is absolutely critical because, as we're about to see, the strength of that gut barrier is the foundation for so much of our overall health. And what's just amazing is the speed at which our understanding has completely exploded. This isn't some ancient wisdom. This is cutting-edge stuff. It was only first isolated and given a name back in 2004. Then, just over a decade later in 2017, scientists pinpointed a specific protein on its surface, AMUC110, that seems to be the key for many of its metabolic benefits. That was the moment that unlocked the door. And then, in what is a ridiculously short time for science, its pasteurized form was approved as a novel food in Europe by 2021. To go from a niche scientific curiosity to a regulated health ingredient you can buy in less than 2 decades, well, that just speaks volumes about its incredible potential. And this right here is where the magic happens. It's this beautiful, self-reinforcing symbiotic cycle. So Akkermansia lives in the mucus and eats it for fuel. But that very act of eating, of degrading the mucin, it sends a chemical signal to our own gut lining cells that basically says, hey, we need more protection over here. And in response, our cells produce more fresh mucin. It's kind of like a skilled gardener pruning a rose bush to stimulate new, vibrant growth. The end result of this constant turnover is a thicker, stronger, more robust mucus layer. And believe me, this isn't just some minor detail. It's the absolute cornerstone of a healthy gut, and it's the foundation for all the incredible benefits we're about to get into. Okay, so we've established Akkermansia is basically a master architect for our gut wall. But why does that matter for things like our weight or our energy levels? How does a strong barrier in our gut affect the rest of the body? Well, it all starts with metabolism, and specifically with inflammation.
Exactly. A strong, intact gut barrier acts like a bouncer at an exclusive club. It lets the good stuff, like nutrients, in, and it keeps the bad stuff out. And one of the main bad things it keeps out are these inflammatory compounds from other bacteria called liposaccharides, or LPS. If the gut barrier is weak, these toxins can leak into our bloodstream, creating a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation all over the body. And that inflammation is a major, major driver of metabolic problems like insulin resistance and weight.
And the research draws a really direct line here. There was this fascinating study on people who were on a diet for weight loss, and they found a clear split in the results. The people who started the diet with naturally high levels of Akkermansia in their gut responded way better. They lost more weight, their blood sugar control improved, and they saw much bigger drops in markers of obesity. It's almost like having a secret weapon in your gut that helps your body make the most of your healthy choices.
It suggests that a healthy gut environment, one that's rich in Akkermansia, primes the body for positive metabolic change. It's not just about the diet itself, but about how well your internal ecosystem is prepared to respond to that diet. Those with low levels of Akkermansia just didn't see the same degree of benefits. even though they were following the exact same plan.
The benefits are truly a domino effect, and it all starts with that strong gut barrier we were just talking about. By reducing what's called leaky gut, it lowers the amount of those toxins in the blood. That's a condition called endotoxemia. This directly lowers that systemic inflammation. With less inflammation gumming up the works, our body's cells become more sensitive to insulin, which is so crucial for managing blood sugar and weight. This whole cascade even protects our liver from damage. It's just a powerful demonstration of how a healthy gut can positively impact our entire system. And this is so critical. Understanding Akkermansia bacteria's role in overall personal health and how to make healthy daily choices for diet, behaviors, and medical care is absolutely critical to our physical and mental health. This is especially true for conditions like hypertension, which is deeply linked to inflammation and insulin resistance. Bolstering your gut lining could be a foundational strategy for cardiovascular health. You're listening to the Out of the Office with research by author Paul Bulow. And this isn't just theory or something they found in animal models. A key human study gave us this incredible number. Researchers took a group of overweight folks with insulin resistance and gave them a pasteurized Akkermansia supplement for 3 months. The results? Their insulin sensitivity improved by about 30% compared to the placebo group. That is a truly remarkable result for a single supplement.
It is a remarkable result. Now, it's our job to provide some context here, and it's important to say that this was a smaller proof-of-concept study. It was designed to see if the idea even worked. The results are incredibly promising, but we do need larger trials to confirm these effects in a broader population. Still, it provides a very strong signal that we are on the right track, and that direct supplementation can have a really meaningful metabolic impact.
Beyond metabolism, the research takes an even more astonishing turn. It seems a healthy gut, fortified by Akkermansia, could be a critical factor in how our body confronts other major diseases. We're now moving into the realm of chronic inflammatory conditions and even oncology, and frankly, the findings here are just groundbreaking. When it comes to inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD, the evidence is remarkably consistent. Study after study finds that patients in the middle of a flare-up of ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease have a depleted stock of Akkermansia. There's this clear inverse relationship. The lower the Akkermansia levels, the higher the markers of gut inflammation.
And what's particularly compelling to me is the research involving kids. A study on pediatric patients found that when kids with Crohn's disease went into remission, their Akkermansia levels bounced back up significantly. This strongly suggests it plays a protective role, helping to calm down those inflammatory processes that drive these devastating diseases.
This might be the most startling question of all. Can bacteria help fight cancer? A decade ago, that question would have sounded like pure science fiction. But the answer, incredibly, seems to be yes. The makeup of our gut microbiome, and specifically the abundance of Akkermansia, has now been linked to how well patients respond to some of the most advanced cancer treatments we have. This applies specifically to a revolutionary treatment called immunotherapy, which doesn't attack the cancer directly, but instead unleashes the power of the patient's own immune system to do the job. And studies on lung and kidney cancer patients found this striking correlation. Those who had naturally higher levels of Akkermansia in their gut before starting treatment had a significantly better response.
It's like Akkermansia acts as a training partner for the immune system. It seems to help prime the T cells, our body's elite cancer-fighting soldiers, making them more effective at recognizing and attacking tumor cells once the immunotherapy drugs give them the green light. The implications are just enormous.
And while that is an incredible prospect, we absolutely have to be crystal clear here. As the source material explicitly states, many of the most dramatic findings, particularly around preventing tumor formation, come from animal studies. They show that in mice, Akkermansia can help the immune system fight tumors. But this is absolutely not a proven human cure or treatment. It's a powerful clue, a very exciting direction for research, but it's one that needs much more investigation in rigorous human clinical trials before any definitive claims can be made. Now for the final frontier of this research, the gut-brain axis. This is the superhighway of communication between our digestive system and our brain. And this leads to perhaps the most profound question of all. Can Akkermansia's role in our overall personal health actually improve our mental health while supporting physical optimum performance? This is where things get really fascinating and, frankly, a little confusing at first glance. On one hand, you have mouse models of Alzheimer's disease where they find a big drop in Akkermansia, and giving them more seems to improve their cognitive function. So that suggests more is better.
Right, but then you look at human studies in conditions like Parkinson's disease and multiple sclerosis, and researchers often find the complete opposite. a higher increased abundance of Akkermansia in patients compared to healthy people. It seems totally contradictory. So what on earth is going on here?
And this is exactly why scientific caution is so important. We can't just look at a correlation and assume it's causation. There are several key reasons why we might see higher levels in these conditions. First, the neurodegenerative diseases themselves can slow down the movement of the gut, which gives bacteria more time to grow. Second, the medications used for these conditions can change the microbiome. But the most important takeaway is this: correlation does not equal causation. Just because a rooster crows and the sun rises doesn't mean the rooster's making the sun come up. The increased Akkermansia could be a consequence of the disease, or maybe even the body's attempt to fight it, not the cause. You're listening to The Out of the Office with research by author Paul Builo. However, while the neurodegenerative picture is complex, when we look at mental health, things like stress, anxiety, and depression, the findings from animal models are much more consistently positive. And the mechanism brings us right back to where we started, the gut barrier. By strengthening that barrier, Akkermansia reduces the flow of inflammatory signals from the gut to the brain. This improvement along the gut-brain axis has been shown in animal studies to have measurable antidepressant and anti-anxiety effects. It's a powerful reminder that a healthy gut can truly contribute to a healthy mind. So after exploring all of this incredible science, we arrive at the most important question. What can we actually do about it? This final section is all about putting this knowledge into practice. How can we support this vital member of our internal community and reap all these potential benefits? Let's get to the actionable advice. Interestingly, science has provided a really clever solution here. You see, the live form of Akkermansia is an anaerobe, which makes it incredibly difficult to keep alive and stable in a supplement capsule. But researchers discovered something amazing about the pasteurized or heat-killed version. Not only is it perfectly stable, but in those key metabolic studies, it was actually more effective than the live form. And the reason is that the key beneficial component, that AMUC110 protein on its outer surface, remains perfectly intact and active after pasteurization. That protein can still communicate with our gut cells and trigger all those positive effects, even if the bacterium itself is no longer alive. It's a really remarkable piece of bioinnovation. And you can absolutely nurture the Akkermansia you already have through your diet. It loves polyphenols. Those are the compounds that give plants their bright colors. So think cranberries, pomegranates, and grapes. It also thrives on fiber, especially from diverse plant sources. The source material specifically calls out crude wheat bran and inulin, which is a prebiotic fiber you can find in things like chicory root, garlic, and onions. It's really all about creating a welcoming 5-star resort for this beneficial guest. Ultimately, the story of Akkermansia is a powerful affirmation of a holistic view of health. It's not about one magic pill. Instead, it proves that our body's health is deeply connected to our diet, actions, nutrition, sunlight, fresh air, personal energy, and our clarity routine of the alignment of our actions, words, and thoughts. Every single choice we make is a signal we send to our inner ecosystem.
That is so true. The role of Akkermansia bacteria and overall personal health aligns our bodies to a healthy environment for both mental and physical success. It's all about creating that internal harmony.
The evidence is clear. Akkermansia bacteria can be linked to an overall healthy body. And while there is still so much to learn, the core message is simple and empowering. By making informed, healthy choices every day, we create the internal environment for our bodies to flourish. A healthy gut truly supports a clear mind. Nurturing our inner ecosystem is one of the most powerful things we can do for our long-term physical and mental well-being. It's proactive health at its most fundamental level. And that leaves us with a powerful thought for the future. The story of this one bacterium points to a new era of personalized medicine, a future where health advice isn't a generic one-size-fits-all recommendation, but is tailored to our own unique inner ecosystem. It's a future where we can truly understand and support our bodies in a way that was never before possible, just by looking at the unique community of microbes that call us home. And that, I believe, is a future worth getting very excited about. Thank you for joining us for this Out of the Office investigation.